Why is playing tank so hard? No, this video is not for casuals. No, this video is not for DPS insta-locks. And no, this video is not for Diamond 1 players and below. In some games, it feels like you get melted almost instantly. And does it feel like tank is just a DPS with more health? Because in my last video, some of y'all said that. But the thing that struck me out was this. Why is it on tank trying to protect your healers against dive, but you get called out for not pushing the point? I'm a Grandmaster tank generalist, and I really want to know why playing tank is so hard. But when I was going through the comments of my last video, why is tank so hard when it seems like a good tank pushes to the objective? A great tank pushes past the objective, and a great tank can't push past the objective without support. But the best tanks get stunned, pushed, stabbed, webbed, hooked, and solo ulted. Now, I felt this angle was kinda right because yes, a good tank can push toward the objective, but that tank can't get a lot of value if he's just pushing towards the objective by himself. Take a Doctor Strange trying to get to the point on this Midtown map. No, he can't get to the point by himself past an Iron Man, Magneto, Venom with a shield and self-sustain. No, this Doctor Strange can't get past this Thor and onto the point without his supports healing him or his DPS supporting him. And the Doctor Strange can't get a kill because he doesn't want to be too far overextended and out of getting heals. One of the hardest ways to play tank is going in alone and diving the enemy healers, because you expect to have a lot of health and you're gonna outlast that healer. But not only do you have a lot of health, but if you don't have a support and if that enemy healer is getting backed up by their support or their team, then you're gonna have a hard time playing it. Then the second hardest way to play tank is ego. I ain't even gonna cap. When I play tank, I be feeling like the biggest and baddest player inside of the game. I feel like, hey, I'm Doctor Strange, I can kill anybody. Hey, I'm Magneto, I can 2-tap anybody. And when these expectations don't get met inside of the game, it just makes the role even harder than it needs to be. Why is nobody talking about how hard tank is? Some of y'all said tank is the easiest role. Some of y'all said support is the easiest role. But DPS is the easiest role in my opinion. Let me explain why. No, tank is not the easiest role. No, support is not the easiest role. DPS is the easiest role to play in Marvel Rivals because all you have to do is make sure you're using, see where your allied tanks are shooting at and back them up. If you're on Wolverine and you see your Doctor Strange getting into it with the Thor, the easiest way to kill that Thor is to help that Doctor Strange with kills, claw him, and displace him. On roles like DPS, you don't have to worry about space or pushing towards the objective. All you really gotta do is support your teammate tank. That's all you have to do. You don't have to worry about healing your team. You don't have to worry about keeping your tanks alive. All you have to do is worry about getting kills. But y'all make DPS way harder than it is because y'all go for solo kills and don't back your tanks up, making the tank role seem harder than it actually is because tank is the hardest role. Why is nobody talking about tank being the hardest role when your healers don't actually heal? Everybody has gone through this before. They died when their healers were looking the other way. Why is tank so hard? Because with tank, you can't really get kills by yourself. You need the support from your DPS or from your healers. Tanks like Magneto can get solo kills if they get a full charge and target a squishy like a healer or a DPS and they do their primary fire, Mad Cannon primary fire. That can be one way, but heroes like Hulk need to use their primary punches and their clap ability and their stun ability and a couple of other punches to get a kill. But they can get this kill way faster if their DPS backs them up. But this never happens because 95% of DPS care about solo kills, leaving a tank to try to get solo kills. But getting a kill on tank is mad hard, unless you're on heroes like Doctor Strange. Why is it every time you try to get kills on tank, It's really hard to get kills unless you're playing on Doctor Strange. The thing that makes Doctor Strange the best tank to get kills is because his damage stacks, it compounds. You use his primary fire to bring up that Eye of Agamotto. Oh crap, I forgot what it's called. The thing with Doctor Strange, you use your primary fire to farm up charge for your burst damage, and that burst damage is really great against squishies, so that way you can use your primary fire, melee, and repeat until you stack that magic burst ability. I found playing tank to be easier when I'm on Doctor Strange and getting kills, but that brings up a whole nother problem, because when you're on Doctor Strange, yes, you have a shield, but that isn't a frontline shield to be spammed at the front line like a Magneto shield, because Doctor Strange's shield is a resource, and when you're outside of that resource and when you need it most, you're going to regret it because you don't have a shield. So where am I going with this? Tank is still all about positioning. Why is tank so hard? Because you gotta play corners, and a lot of y'all don't play corners. Why is tank so hard? Because a lot of y'all are trying to get kills when you don't have the support of your DPS, but you can still get kills without the support of your DPS. To get solo kills on tank, you want to put yourself in a position where you're using natural cover, like corners, walls, or even your own teammates to use as body shields. And don't go for the enemy tank unless your team is focus firing. Only go for squishies like the enemy DPS or the enemy supports. But don't just get tunnel vision with this. Obviously, you gotta have an open mind. And when your team is focus firing a tank, help out your team focus fire and kill that tank so that tank can die quicker and your team can move on to their next target. Why is tank so hard? Every one of you kept saying that tank is hard because you get blamed for losing game. GG, we have no tank. I don't really think this is true. Let me know if you're smarter than me down below in the comments, because I see GG no heals way more than I see GG no tank. Y'all make tank way harder than it needs to be because you overextend and go for solo kills when you don't back your DPS up, because DPS are supposed to back you up when you're getting kills, but in public lobbies and with solo queues, you're gonna have to back up your DPS, which kind of sucks, but it wins you games. If you're smarter than a Grandmaster 2 player, comment right now. This is the second episode of the series. Go ahead and comment now.